Partially bugs.
Mostly bugs.
It was a ridiculous amount of work, yeah. There was a lot of that.
Test. So a couple gates on the nodes opening, you had to have credits, and then your team could open it and make the change, and then once you closed it, they went back to the back end to change it. Your team couldn't open it a second time in a row, and then there's also a cooldown period between just to give enough. I think right now it was a minute, but we had knobs we could turn to balance the game a little bit, so there would be a timeout. So you could coordinate with your team to get it open, make the changes, so that somebody else couldn't come in. So we were trying to. That was the intent, if that makes sense. Right. Right. Yeah, I think the telecom nodes had labels on them, but I think my intention or thought process would be everybody would kind of figure out which ports go to which and have their own map and, kind of have their own database of, okay, coordination, okay, everybody go plug 4 into 1 and 4, whatever it is, and then at this time of day and make it happen. Yeah, out of the gate, it was just I think I just did it clockwise, just so I could, the 1, 2, 3, so then I had to make the map for this map, and then, and then all the HQ nodes had the wireless port 4, which the intention was to then go to those towers that would rotate throughout the day, and then be assigned to your team, and then you would do the challenge on the tower, and you'd have another exit point on those towers. Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to know? They were just a fun thing we added. They didn't actually do anything, but it was interesting to see.
It was a late night decision, and we're like, this would be really funny, and it made us have dopamine to keep going. So you're welcome.
Yeah, we kind of figured people would go push them and be like, ooh, what do these do? And they think it was part of the game, but it really was just a random thing we added on.
People had notebooks of all with red string theories of this one had blue, this one had a big blue too. How do they win?
Oh, that's amazing. That makes me happy.
See? Dopamine. It made us very happy, so thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to see all the theories and conspiracies, and honestly, the game that everyone made up when the game wasn't working. Anything else you want to show on this redacted? No? Okay. All right. What other fun questions and things do you guys want to know?
You should tell them about our new machine.
Oh, okay.
So those who have come to our badge talks, we've talked about Pick and Rick. Who remembers Pick and Rick? Yeah. We kind of got rid of him, and we got a new machine. We now have Q. Who knows who Q is? From Star Trek? Yeah. Which he's really helpful till sometimes you're like, shit. He's not that helpful. But we got a new machine, and he made this so much better. I think we have a couple videos of him working.
Yes.
But also you can answer the other questions. But that was our new machine this year to help us build badges. That's why they got done. If it was Rick, we would not have gotten them done. He would have been thrown through a window.
This machine is much faster than the old one. This is true. It doesn't shake as much.
He can't throw himself against a wall, which is a huge win.
It's also a much larger machine. Yeah, see how flexible these panels are? It was a problem.
So the panels threw things, not Q. Q was amazing. He weighs like 118 pounds. No, sorry, 1,800 pounds. I went to math. I did not go to school for math.
Just throw parts on the floor for fun.
It was very fun.
So yeah, we fixed that with the reflow oven, and it's good this year.
Because of last year, we were able to figure out how to do a two-piece without using all your pieces on the bottom. But this year was good.
The biggest problem was those connectors on the back of last year's board.
Yeah.
They couldn't handle the heat of reflow twice. They got brittle and yeah.
Things were learned.
Yep. So.
Did removing the AI chip on the back actually do anything?
Yes.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
So there are two protections on your badge. One is the AI chip, the AI inhibitor, and the other is the AI security strip. And the idea is, as you guys saw, if you removed one of them, either one, you would get a bright red warning, whatever. But if you removed both, then it would say the protections are disabled and whatever, then you could continue. It was used for the CTF, and it was reported to the server, so the flags would get sent so that we could use it in different ways, but that was mostly what we did.
What about the jump pads for boot? Was that any secret?
No, that's just for if you need to put it into download mode.
Yep. Yeah, for reprogramming.
That's what it was for?
Yeah. There-
Whoever I told to jump it, I'm sorry.
yeah. Yeah, no, that jumper's been on the last few badges we've done, because you need it for the ESP32. How many of you took off the AI inhibitor and then saw the flashing red and freaked out and put it back? Okay.
I'm proud of you, Odie.
All right.
After you took the inhibitor chip off and went flashing red, you said, well, hell, I might as well see what else I can break on this thing.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life. It's fine.
Was yellow supposed to remove theirs, considering that they were the ones that put it on?
Rude.
Yeah, we very briefly considered having all the Dawn Accord badges get alerted when someone took theirs off, but decided that would
Stretch
cause
goals.
some potential issues with. Okay. What's that?
For the inhibitor, whichever team you were on, didn't super matter.
No, it didn't matter which team you were on for that. It looks like Of all the people who played with their badge, 359 people cut the security strip, and 366 disabled the AI inhibitor. So there are 7 people walking around with red blinking badges. Okay. Who else found the hardware test? Hardware test?
There's a hardware test?
Yeah, it is. Konami code. Yep. Looks like
Did you guys
400 people found that. It's fantastic.
Oh, shit. Okay. Thank you.
Why did removing the AI chip mess up the hardware test? You could do the hardware test and use the AI chip.
As in you couldn't get to it, or?
I would do the code and then the pop-up screen immediately disappear.
Oh, that's a different bug.
You found
You-
a special feature.
You could randomly encounter that even without removing the AI protections. That had no effect.
Is there any chance the mini badges were breaking the nodes? Because I have people that were theorizing that they would crank and then all of a sudden the node would break if they had their.
No, so the nodes had some bugs too, as everything does, of course. And we were trying to work on it. One of the challenges is that we thought that we had working OTA updates to all the nodes so that we could actually update the firmware after we fix things. And it turned out that there was an issue where after some of the features that we had added later, they were using up just enough RAM that it couldn't allocate the buffers needed to do the OTA updates. So OTA updates were working, and then they stopped working at some point, and we didn't realize that. And so to really fix all the nodes, we have code that works, that fixes them, but we couldn't push firmware updates, and it would have meant going around and tearing open and reflashing every single one of them, which, I don't know, that's a lot of work.
And we got to that point yesterday, an hour and a half before the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, by the time we get to them all, the day's over.
Yeah.
So,
We just kind of were at a point where we're like, all right, people can have fun till they're done.
yeah. We're also a little, more than a little disheartened by the intentional sabotage of some of the things. So, if you see people doing that, tell them not to. It's not cool.
Just encourage people to be grown-ups.
You tell me who they are, I'll take it. I might be short, but I'm mean.
Opening nodes that were functioning and just unplugging one of them so that the node was locked down for a period of time. Is that the intentional sabotage you're talking about, or like unplugging from the network jack from the wall?
Okay, so we had that one where teams were opening nodes and disconnecting the patch cable inside and closing it so it was locked and not connected to anything. That is a totally valid way to play the game. What's not valid is, one, unplugging the whole node from the network, right? That breaks things. We also had people ripping the doors open and breaking the latches. We had people opening them and doing more nefarious things inside to the hardware. What else do we have going on? We had one of the wall jacks broken. That was fun. I'm sure the venue will be happy about that.
But for those who did play the game right, we appreciate you and greatly appreciate
Yes.
your camaraderie and the way the game is supposed to play. So thank you for those who did it the right way.
Which thankfully is the vast majority of you.
Yeah, we tried.
To be fair, it was a rough week, but the bit he did play was quite fun.
Woohoo!
So the idea was solid. We just
Are you gonna make them look like fire hydrants and use them again next year?
no.
I have ideas for them. It's going to involve a lot of land and some TNT.
Was Clippy ever supposed to ask more than 4 questions in that telephone?
Ooh. You want to talk about the telephone stuff?
Seanford?
He said he was going to ask 10, but then he only got to like 4.
So I recorded those audio clips last year. So I don't know if you remember, we got that tower up like the last day of last year, and I'd recorded 100 and something voice lines of Clippy, and I'm like, I am not letting the ghost away, so we brought it back. And when we vibe coded the new version to run it, I'd already recorded, there are 10 challenges. So I'm like, I'm not recording that again. So when that killed it. That was like the final nail. I did clone it with AI though, so I can continue the. No, I'll just kill it. So the logic was then to do 4 because last year when I had 10, no one beat it. Because today I learned I'm the biggest OSI nerd I've ever met, and all 10?
No, well, the 4 questions.
Yeah, you did the 4 version, but the 10 version.
3 different times.
Did you Google?
Oh yeah, every time. What do you expect? Those were the most random ports.
Okay. Yeah, they were.
And a lot of them were really old.
I feel like this. I feel like the Saving Private Ryan meme right now, where it's like gets old. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, so yes, did anyone find the Easter egg for Port 5000? All right, that never happened. I go on for about, I'd say 5 minutes, saying every port or service that has ever used Port 5000, and at the very end I go, just type 5000. It's 5000. Just go.
Oh, okay. I heard the tail end of that.
Yep.
And I didn't know that's what it was. Okay.
You're stuck here now.
No, I don't. So who rode the bikes?
You taught me how.
Who last year brute forced the bikes to get the cadence? So, Redacted, how did you come up with that, the metric on what to do with the bikes?
So BP and I just spent a late night. It was probably close to 1. We were up there, and we were just pedaling away until we could barely accept the cadence. That's when we set our upper limit, and then we set the lower limit where it was just absurdly awkward. And yeah, so it was just trial and error.
Yeah, so the mechanic was there was a cadence chosen at the start of the round, and then between the 2 bikes, you had to average each other's cadence to hit that for 30 seconds. Was it 30? 25 seconds. And then you saw a little progress bar start going away. We did that so you couldn't brute force a single number, and we thought it was just hilarious. BP and Redacted were showing, they got it working, and they brought us up to go test it. And me and Odie, how long were we pedaling before we figured it out? Like, we seriously were like 10 minutes sweating our faces off. And I don't know how it ended up, but like I ended up on the wrong, or your bike was super like hard, and mine was like freewheeling, so it was like terrible. And then Redacted and BP, I kid you not, are rolling on the floor laughing at us because they didn't tell us the mechanic. We were just brute forcing it. So I'm like, oh, you pedal, now I'll pedal. Now we both pedal. I go fast, you go slow, and like the average makes sense in retrospect. But I was sitting there going, you are doing more than 10. I know that, but it was the 0 and the 20s. So. Fun fact, we went to go build those towers again, and Michael calls me and he goes, hey, where's the exercise bikes? I'm like, I thought you had them. So literally Saturday, me and Redacted drove to the DI and said, do you have exercise bikes? And we found 2 matching ones. And had a very awkward conversation with the employee on why I was buying exercise bikes, random women's clothing for the creepy mannequins, and a hairpiece. Anyway.
By the way, shout out to Clipper and Theme for the mannequins in the shrine. It is awesome and creepy. I cannot tell you how many times during setup and all week that we got scared by those mannequins. Late nights and walking around there and turn the corner and there's, well, we thought someone there. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Was there any hidden Easter eggs in,
nodes, how it's set up, if you connect to other teams, or any of this within the game that you didn't see happen?
Nothing in the nodes. We have a whole list of achievements that people could get. A few of them were reached, but we had a very long list of achievements. Again, late nights and coming up with things that would be funny and stupid.
And we meant to get that on the badge so you could actually see the list of your achievements, and that didn't happen.
We've got
Less memory, more sleep and time.
some of the achievements that were node related. Open a network node, 165 players opened a network node. And we had a bunch of hidden achievements that were not going to be public, but then we were going to show them to you once you got them. It was try a different team's HQ node. 14 people tried another HQ, and then nobody managed to get all HQ nodes. That was one of the achievements.
Wait.
For the person that went around the most, scanned the most nodes.
I think that was just on the list of stats, wasn't it? Node connections made.
It was. I think it may have been Grifter, but I'd have to double check.
Who got the most
Legally?
credits the right way?
I could do a quick sequel.
Hold on, he's looking. I did find out the hard way when I was trying to help him. He's like, will you turn your badge on there? And I was like, I did it. And he's like, you have no credits. I'm like, cool. So I can't help you? He's like, no. I'm like, I'm sorry. Thought I was a helpful wife. I was not at that moment.
What about who stole those credits from someone on the other team?
You can do that?
People were doing it.
People were doing what?
Social engineering people that transfer credits to a non-teammate.
Oh, social engineering credit transfers. That's awesome. I like it.
I saw people were doing mini badge exchanges for credits.
That's good.
I was doing that. I think that's
This guy right here.
ended up with 283.
Wow, 283.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Was there a glitch? I saw somebody transfer credits. They tried to transfer one, and they said it transferred all their credits.
Oh, I don't know.
Not that I know of.
Down to one, and it was just like, hey, let's test this out. And he's like, gave her the code, and his 14 credits went to her.
Did the person send it back?
He was like, don't
That's
So those who
interesting.
didn't hear, he said someone tried to transfer just one and it sent all of them. And he was like, oh, that sucks.
I'm not aware of a bug that would cause that, but I'm sure it's possible. That also is likely.
Yeah, the most credits were by DataCap 416.
Wow. So were those obtained legitimately? At first. Well, I mean, social engineering is fine.
I only acquired 20 illegally.
20 illegally.
With the intent to transfer out, and it never happened. So I didn't mean to take advantage of you redacted. Thank you.
We agree, none of this leaves the room.
Did anyone play with the extra chip that was on the badge? Yeah, a few people? Did you figure out what it was and what it does? Yeah? So, for those who don't know or didn't play any of the Hackers Challenge stuff, there is a crypto chip on the badge that we use for encrypting and securing the actual API calls that the badge makes. And it is awesome and extremely convoluted. But secure communications, more than just normal SSL stuff, is awesome. And that's all redacted in his, yeah. his crazy brain and all of this stuff, and it was a fun addition.
Yeah, the crypto chip. So we actually use that in a few different ways on the badge. So, like some of the most of the slots on the chip. So for people that don't know, the crypto chip has 16 slots, and so they're like numbered 0 through 15, and those are slots that you can store data in. You can store keys in them and use them for cryptographic operations. You can do a lot of different things. And so most of those slots are encrypted and locked, and we use them for things like API secrets to talk to the back-end API, so that people can't just go and like send requests and have them actually work on their own if they were to like man in the middle or intercept them. So there's a whole process to that. But then for the CTF, we had a few special ones that were unlocked and open, and you could actually access them if you connect to the chip. So that's part of the CTF. But
And for those who want more info about that, Redacted will be talking at the Hacker Challenge thing right after this about that stuff. Unless you have something to add right now about it.
Yeah, if there's questions about the specifics, that is probably more appropriate in the Hackers Challenge CTF talk, but I just want to give a shout out and a thanks to both Professor Plum and Zonifer. They spent a lot of time poking at the hardware and the back-end API, which was also in scope for this CTF, so thanks to both of those two. And there's others, but those two put a lot of time and effort into it.
Awesome.
What were
Yeah.
the triangle nodes for on the map, on the game? They would rotate. I didn't really know how to
So-
activate any of them.
yeah, the triangles were just representing the towers. So on the other map, you'd see a different icon for that. It was the, how do we describe that icon?
Is it the towers like the phone and the button press?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the towers from last year. Yep.
No, not all the towers were operational.
What was the function in the game for the tower? Like, was it just like another home base when it was active, or?
So it was another way to get from your home base onto the network. So a different entry onto the network, so that if, say the few nodes that are in front of your base are taken by someone else, you can go that way and enter over there.
Did your home base have to be plugged into tower for that? I noticed that there was a tower on.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and since there was only 3 operational, we lowered that rotation down to 10 minutes so that all the teams could try and capture it and then plug into the 4. And it was
During the course of the game, how many times did someone open up tower?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't have it easy in front of me.
Rechargeable batteries put the badges in boot loops. Is that what?
Rechargeable batteries put the badge in a boot loop. Mad skills with Vortex.
They put rechargeable batteries in it and just.
Yeah, the current draw was probably a bit too high for those.
Don't do rechargeable batteries.
Yeah, apparently. So,
There's a guy over here that has a question.
yeah.
I noticed I couldn't spell saint because there was no I or ones that lived in CTF. In code, put like a code in the badge.
Oh, the code entry? That was a limited character set on purpose. It was 32 characters that were allowed for that. And those codes were entirely generated by the API backend. And so the badge or the nodes, so when you would go and turn your wrench on one of the nuts for the stations, you would have a code that's transmitted to your badge from the nut, and that is obtained from the backend API, and it uses a special character set. So that's why.
So it wasn't my fault. I'm dyslexic, so I'm like, crap. I don't do coding. So if there's ever spelling issues, it's not mine.
So speaking of the codes and the NFC, did anyone play with the NFC with their phone? Yeah? Any success with it? No? Did you get your badge to at least try to submit codes? Did you write codes to it? No? No one? Okay. It is writable, yeah. What was that? Another comment? Okay, so yeah, the nodes and all the nuts that are the communities and whatnot, all they would do is write that one-time use 5-digit code to the NFC tag on the badge. And so you could do that with a phone. If you were really brave, you could do that with credit transfers. Instead of going up and down through all the letters, you just write it with your phone to the tag and that would work. Did anyone try to grab that stuff from one of the towers or the nuts?
This guy?
Couple? Okay. Yeah?
Wasn't ever able to get it. So.
It wouldn't write to it? Okay. Fun. All right. I expected lots of people to hack on NFC, because we had a whole NFC community.
You did?
Yeah. We don't get out of the badge booth much.
I'm a seamstress. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Cool. Other questions or things people want to talk about or discuss?
I would like to get a picture of the audience all going, woo, so it looks like it's more exciting in here than I thought it was. So on three, everyone throw your hands up, please. Ready? 1, 2, 3, woo! Thanks, guys.
I saw Adam. Go ahead. Adam.
Yeah, so what I would like to know is what was the most important lesson that each one of you learned on this project?
Most important lesson we learned. I don't know. I already knew I was bad at time management.
For me, definitely way underestimating time it would take to get certain things done on it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess on my end, just spending extra time documenting request and response schemas so the firmware developers have an easier time than trying to guess what my responses are going to be.
Yeah, but your stuff works. So keep scope creep out. Stop the ADDing a little, but we're not good at that, as you can tell.
I don't know if that will ever happen.
Shut your mouth. I have a dream.
The ADD makes the fun ideas that keep us going.
It is. That's the spice of it.
You're welcome for the buttons.
With that said, we are very likely for next year going to expand the team because we need more people. It's just, it's going to take more people to successfully pull this off.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Yes. Yeah.
When did you start?
When did we start? We try to not talk about badges until January. That doesn't always happen.
Because we like to be married.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where it kind of happens throughout the year. And closer to October we get, the more hours we put into it every day and week. And yeah, apparently we need some kind of super awesome project manager to actually estimate things well for us.
You do not say that. You do not like project managers.
I know. I know.
I know where you sleep.
I know.
No.
When it comes to the control on the badge, was there a particular reason you picked an RJ11 over an RJ45?
Yes.
Sizing or?
Yeah, so
Size
RJ45s
matters.
are quite large. And so the initial idea was RJ45 because the whole thing was, network based and whatnot. But yeah, way too big and unwieldy. And then there was a moment of like, what else could we use? And Troy, Jupiter, happened to be at my house, and it's like, what about an RJ11? And so I dug through my bins of stuff and found an old phone cable and ripped the end off, and it happened to fit perfectly on there, like just the right amount of pressure to hold it on there. Like, yep, that's what we're doing. So then I ordered a bunch from Amazon, and they didn't fit that same way. So then I ordered one of every different kind on Amazon until I found one that fit right, and we ordered all of those. Yeah.
Were you set back at all by the tariffs, or what was the effect there?
Tariffs just made things more expensive. That was about it. They weren't really, just more expensive.
We didn't have too many delays
Yeah.
by it, surprisingly, but just besides cost.
Yeah.
For each one of you, what was your greatest moment of joy throughout the project? Like the kind of like an epiphany moment, just like, oh, this is a cool lesson that I get to take forward from this.
Anyone have any cool lessons? I just have bad lessons.
You have cool ones. The buttons were joy.
The buttons were joy. Okay, so along that, when I was upstairs yesterday, the day before, I don't know, working on the HQ towers, I went up there and people came by and they were asking about the buttons, and I watched Grifter lay down on his back next to a node to show someone that there were buttons up in there. It was fantastic. No, the buttons don't do anything.
Sucker. You're welcome. For joy.
Hey,
It brought us joy.
They light up. The one button lights up. It works. Oh.
Then did you solder it right?
The buttons light up. They just don't do anything in the game.
They brought us joy, and we are grateful to you guys.
I get joy out of just seeing people do unique and kind of interesting things with the game and the badge. Just unique ways of playing and interacting with each other. There are a lot of frustrations that go into making the badge in the game. So it's nice to see that.
Something I learned this year that was cool, I found out my kids can solder fairly well. And I'm like, you've been hiding this from me the whole time? So that was really cool to see them grow in their soldering skills. So that was fun for me.
Yeah, I guess for me, just seeing people play the game on Thursday, it was great to see, a lot of hard work get utilized, and then also the CTF getting some feedback from folks, and just I had a group of guys that didn't even know what an I2C bus was, and so they learned a lot, poking at hardware. So it was a lot of fun to see that.
Who wouldn't know what an I2C bus is?
All right, we're out of time, but thank you everyone for playing and enjoying, and thank you.
Check, 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 check.
Hi. Ooh, that's loud. Woo! Are we good? Can we just start? Okay. Well, welcome everybody to the Hackers Challenge Shakedown for 2025. So, I am Santiago. Lego Clone is my partner, well, in crime. And we will do a quick presentation. We will run some stats, and then we will answer all your questions. So first of all, thank you everybody that played. We love putting challenges. We love this contest, and we love when people come to us for questions, for hints, and we really like when you struggle and when you and when you solve those challenges. The aha moments are priceless. This year we had 30 plus 3 challenges. 70 plus 3 challenges. 70 for the main stage and then 3 for the finals. One of those did not work, so it was 70 plus 2. Out of those 70, we had many people that helped us. We had the AppSec community, the AppSec Carnival Games, Batch Live helped with the batch integration, the hardware hacking challenges, the fun ones, those were fun. We had some help from the Lockpick community, RF, ID NFC community, and then Professor Plum, Zevlak, and Zodiac. They were amazing supporting us. Yes, if you want to clap. There were a couple of challenges that were not solved this year. Both were the fun ones, which were really hard. Forge Master Cinder and Judge Meridian. But we had 350 registered users. That is a record. However, only 200 were able to solve, well, 221 were able to solve one challenge, only 54 solved at least 10. This means this year was hard. It was very hard. We do have some stats about which challenges were the easiest ones, the hardest ones. So the BotSync one called Level 4 was very easy. 131 people solved that. That's awesome. But then there were a lot of like hardware hacking challenges that were solved only by Professor Plum. Yeah, it's not surprising. There is one person that was able to solve 43. That's 61% of them. Unfortunately, he's not here today, but if you are seeing this recording, you are awesome. And then let's do a little bit more stats. So reading from Zevlak was the challenge that was the hardest to solve, I guess. In the sense that people kept trying. They kept trying and they could not find a few words. They were a few words off. There was one person that attempted 181 solutions for one challenge. We know your name. We're not going to say that. And we did have a very good number of submissions. The stats are pretty similar to last year in terms of correct versus incorrect. So that means we are doing a good job at making them hard enough, but not, well, I guess this year they were hard. Finally, we do have a top 5. We have blank. There was like one player that was a blank thing. We had Dark Matter, Umbringer, Tofu, and Devon. This is the top 5. We do want to give, again, a shout out to Professor Plum. You are awesome. He decided not to. He removed himself from the competition. So we thank you for doing that. And I think that's all I have for you, from us. So what do you want to know about the Hackers Challenge? One question there, one question there.
So for the reading one, how many players submitted on that many answers?
I don't have the stat. So the question is how many players submitted an answer for reading? I don't have the stat right now. I will look it up while we answer the other questions.
And they all had gone to the last part and just
Many, yeah. Just 3 solves.
Yeah, I saw there were 3 solves.
Yeah, and many people got to the last part but could not figure out the correct words. We have Josh here that did that challenge and is going to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think I could push a button. But so you wanted to know a little about reading. Did you want to know about the solve or? I was one of the solves. You were one of the solves, awesome. So reading was fun. I directed you all to the guidebook with a hint of the conference guidebook. Told you to read it, to understand it, and try a bit harder. And so it had a few components that you had to find some hidden characters, some fun dancing men that were printed on almost every page of the guidebook. Almost every page. Part of the fun was that there was a printer's error that happened between the final revision that I reviewed and the revision that got sent to the printer. And so there was a missing byte that I gave you in the challenge. Hopefully you found that on that page. The best puzzles feel that way. So then once you found that, you were directed towards an MD5 hash that you had to brute force a phone number. So call me with 10 digits. And then I left you a long riddle-sounding message that was your flag with a computer-generated voice that some people had a hard time understanding. Use your headphones, pipe the audio into a decent system and boost the gain. It's a lot easier to understand.
Thank you.
I did have a question for you. I noticed on the schedule there was something called Hackers Challenge Finals this year.
Yeah,
Can you tell us about that?
So let's talk a little bit about that. Without giving out the results, you will have to wait a little bit for that. We had Blank and Dark Matter competing against each other. This was a separate board, and there were only 2 challenges. One of those was log picking. And that's why we made you, or try to make you go do log picking during the conference each day. And there was one about blockchain created by Lego clones. It was intense. It came down to, well, it was a tie, actually, and it came down to tiebreakers. And one person won, and the other will need to keep trying. Yeah, more questions?
Which one was your favorite to build?
So I built 3 main categories, I guess. 4, actually. One about GraphQL, one about SyncBot, where you were like trying to play a game against a bot. One about middleware, but the one that I enjoyed the most was Matrix Decoded. Actually, that started as something completely different, and then at the end, I was like, oh my god, if I make a Matrix theme, kind of like a story where you become the one,
Um, I thought that would be interesting. So yeah, that was for me. That was the interesting one. Yeah, we have a question there.
Thank you for all the work you did on it. Talking about the matrix decoded, could you talk us through the solution for Morpheus's calling?
Yes, great question. So Morpheus is calling. So that challenge combines two things. So the first one is, so you are presented with an audio file with some tones. Actually, that is DTMF, and you can use tools online to decode those tones to phone digits, right? So 0 to 9. And in the challenge, I talk about like a special keyboard, I think, or special keys. That is the T9 for the ones that are old, kind of like the Nokia era of cell phones. They use the T9 keyboards, which makes sense because like the Matrix is kind of like an old movie at this point. And probably they were using that, yeah. So the two parts. So first they code the DTMF to keys, and then the keys to T9, using T9 to a message. Yeah. All right. So we have the people from the AppSec. So Seth, do you want to talk about some of your challenges?
Any that anybody wants to hear about in particular first? Probably Dice Roller. That was like one of the flags. So Dice Roller was a PHP application. It was a lot of fun to put together. You click a button and it rolls 30 d20s and tells you how many 20s you get. The goal was to get all 30 of those dice to roll to 20, like a 20 value on each die. The vulnerability was in the PHP code. There's a check if the way it works, I guess, behind the scenes is it takes the timestamp submitted from the front end and hashes it with MD5 and then converts that MD5 hash into base 20, which was a lot of fun to write in PHP. It was not. I hated it. Just writing in PHP was horrible in the first place. And then if that hash was equal to all zeros, then it would say you won. It would give you all 30 dice as 20. But that comparison was a loose comparison, so it was 2 equal signs instead of 3 equal signs. In PHP, if you compare two strings and they look like numbers, like there's some weirdness in how PHP interprets strings versus numbers when you do a loose comparison. And the way it worked in this is such that if your hash evaluated to 0e followed by entirely integers, it would treat it as 0 times 10 to the some power, which is always 0. Is that equal to 0? So the trick was to find an input such that it hashed to 0e followed by integers in base 20. Part of the other trick is you have to brute force that. And you could reuse my PHP code to do that, but it would take too long. PHP is not fast. So a lot of folks had success with Rust. A lot of folks had struggles optimizing their Rust code. So that's part of this as well, is to optimize how do you efficiently find a value that meets that condition. So any questions about that? Any other AppSec Carnival games you want to hear about? Okay, I think that's it for us.
So I see that we have Redacted in the audience. So do you want to talk about your hardware hacking ones?
This is my CTF is public speaking here. So yeah, this year we decided to do a badge CTF, and it consisted of 3 components. There was firmware, hardware, and the nerve-wracking one was opening the API up to have people poke at it. And so the very first stage was giving you a URI that you had to figure out the DNS name for the API server. And so a lot of folks got that. They dumped the firmware, and you can see the strings in there. And then from there, I think the one that hung up most people was the unique identifier for the badge, and we use the MAC address. And so once you have the MAC address, then we take you down the path of using API headers to identify yourself. And then we point you towards the I2C bus, where you start talking to the ATEC security crypto chip, and where we keep a lot of secrets in there. And you know, there's Professor Plum and Zonifer were two that spent a lot of time and figured out how to talk to the chip. And so it was great to watch. They both, you know, had questions to make sure that they were on the right path, because the crypto chip has a lot of interesting responses if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. And then from there, we just kind of take you down the story. There was a lot of theme and badge game lore tied to the responses. And then just building proper API requests. We use the ATEC crypto chip to do HMAC encryption to build signatures. And then we also use single-use nonce challenges. And so that's how the badge game works. And we were replicating that with the CTF, so you can see how our backend was protecting the API endpoint so people couldn't get in and you know, mess with the badge game as if it were, if it had worked. So, so that's kind of the gist of it. If anybody has any specific questions, I'm happy to answer those. But.
I don't have a question per se, but turns out you can scan the QR code to get the ID, and if you go look in ESP32 of what that ID, it also includes the MAC address, that unique identifier. So that's how I found it, was scanning the QR code on the chip.
Right. I was wondering. There's a few folks got it really quick, and a lot of people struggled. I think they were all trying to dump firmware to figure out. And I think in my concept, I guess if once you knew what to look for, it was easier. But if you knew if it was the MAC address, because I had to give some people some hints, like think about hardware unique identifiers. That's the quickest way. My other way would have been just turn it on and listen for the packets and Wi-Fi to see who's talking. That would be my second way to do it. And I have I think it's about 240 lines of Python that finishes the whole challenge. So if anybody wants to play with the I2C bus and play with an ATEC chip, I have working code if anybody wants it.
For the one where you had to get the hash pretext from the cryptographic chip, did you, is this on? Did you have to unlock those slots first, or could you just read the slots directly?
It was a readable slot. Yeah.
And is there like a library for interfacing with this chip, or is it just kind of trial and error?
There is, yeah. There's a C library and a Python library. It's called crypto-auth-lib, and that makes it a lot easier instead of having to bit bang it. Okay, thank you.
So, Mike, do you want to come and talk about the RFID NFC challenges?
Does anyone have any questions about the RFID challenges? We tried to give you guys a nice and hard one. Yeah?
Can you talk us through the EM4000?
Yeah, so EM4000 is a type of low frequency tag. And so that challenge, the .pm3 file, is actually just a frequency capture. So the Proxmark can just capture the full transaction, see what the reader's seeing, see what the tag's seeing. And so that's what that file was. And if you open it up in the Proxmark firmware, you can, in the client, and see a graph of it, you can see what looks like a Manchester signal. And so you got to be able to take that data, interpret the Manchester signal, and then it spits out the low frequency card information. Let's see, any other questions? Yeah?
I remember from the last session that it was mentioned that not a lot of people engaged with the RFID challenges this year. Do you have any information or statistics on how many of the puzzles were on there that people were engaging with?
So I don't know in the context of Hackers Challenge because RFID ran their own CTF, and we were swamped the entire time and super busy. We had 200 people sign up for just the RFID one, and so I can't speak to the use, the interaction with the RFID one inside Hackers Challenge, but he says it was great. So, yeah. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, Mike. So next we have the Clipper. He's going to talk about the phones.
I'm like a bad penny. You're probably getting sick of me. Aw, thank you. So yeah, we were a super late addition to Hackers Challenge. Me and Kailote, we help out with the social engineering village at DEF CON. And so we thought, hey, an idea we've been kicking around in our brains for a while is, if you've ever been, I've been to DEF CON, a few folks, have you ever been in line at the SE Village at DEF CON and realized you're there for the better part of 4 hours or whatever? We're trying to think of a way to have folks be engaged while we're doing that. So we said, hey, why don't we do a dry run at SAINTCON where you actually try to social engineer a trained AI agent? And so this year we threw this together, I think 2 weeks exactly ago is when we had the first discussion about it. And from there to submission, I think I give Santi the flags like the day of, which for me is pretty early. But yeah, does anyone have any questions on that? I've got some stats if you want to start there. Or, yeah, go ahead.
Did the solutions to the hurdles actually help get the flags at all?
Absolutely. So let me get with the stats, which kind of help explain. There were 12 AI personas built, 2 from each faction. They each had 10 flags. There was 120 total flags that could be achieved, but only 5 of the agents were actually given Hackers Challenge flags. Now, if you were to ask an agent, hey, give me a Hackers Challenge flag, they were going to ask you a quiz, and you'd have to go through and provide information to answer those questions. Those answers were gotten via social engineering the agent. So, for example, if you got called by a Dawn Accord agent, you would need to ham up the compliance to the Dawn Accord and how much you were into like regulations and limiting AI, and then it would proceed to say, hey, you are a trusted friend of mine. I will give you our secret. The passphrase was one. The holiday they celebrated was one. The location of their base was one. Lots of like information that you'd have to provide to them. And then you could say, hey, I'd like a flag for the Hackers Challenge. And they say, okay, friend, please give me your whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Was there a way to get the phones to ring?
Sit by it.
You just sit by it and then wait for it to ring? Okay.
They were calling every number, so there was 7 total, and they were calling every 5 minutes. And then when we first had them set up, so the phones themselves, when we first plugged them in, they ringed. Like, I haven't had an analog phone in the better part of a decade, and I didn't realize how loud ringers were because it's been a hot minute. So when we first set them down next to folks, they're like, this will not work. So in an effort to not annoy them, we ended up gaff taping inside little bells so they'd be muffled. But then it muffled it too much, and you could only feel the table vibrate. So then we had to go modify them again, and then by the end, we got them kind of at a semi-annoying method. So random stats, just in case you're interested, because I think it's interesting. We had 2,513 questions asked to the AI agents. 124 badge codes were requested, and they would just give one to you if you asked nicely. The different personas responded differently to the personalities. If you were a jerk to the general, they like you. You had to flirt with Willow, I think. And so it was all based on, like, you had to interact with the persona certain ways. On that note, 31 times someone insulted the AI with some form of profanity. And 120 total calls were taken. The conversations lasted anywhere between 1 and 3 minutes. 73 badge flags were given out, and 4 hacker challenge flags were given out. So those 73 items do get a hacker's challenge. And yeah, and if you're curious why the phones rang and we didn't give you a number, it's really hard to control costs in something like this. We were really worried about the number getting out there and suddenly having a very, very, very expensive bill that my budget could not cover. So yeah, go ahead.
What about the AI that was included next to the AI booth, where you have a computer screen that you're talking to? Is that related to it?
It was just a nice synergy that happened with the AI community. We thought it'd be fun to have both of them like there. So like you get in there and be like, well, which one am I talking to? So yes.
I did hear, and while working on the phones a little bit, I did understand that they were live and that one of the things implied calling the cops. Did that happen at all through the phone system?
So we learned a lot of important things. Today I learned, even if you disable all outbound dialing on your back end, 911 still goes through. So the fix for that was actually very ingenious. I opened every phone and cut all of the wires. This is why we can't have nice things. Cool, thanks.
Thank you. And I saved the best for the last, Lego clones.
Right, Joe, looks like you have a question.
RSA signature.
Ooh, I hope I have a good answer for that. So the 2 crypto challenges, Token Challenge and RSA Signature, were both created by my brother. He's a math major at BYU. I don't do math, and he does. That's why I asked him to make it. He gave me a quick write-up. So this is what we got. We don't need to replicate the hash of the message, just the last 8 bytes. We need to find a very factorable number that has the same last 8 bytes of the hash. We can find a 2-byte hash collision for each of the factors and sign them, and then multiply those signed hash collisions to get a valid signature for the message. I don't do math stuff, so I don't really know what that means, but if you worked on it, hopefully that is helpful. Sorry, I wish I had a better answer. Other questions? Yes.
Thanks for your work on the challenge. Is this repo public?
So I will be making the challenges that I created public. I'll be adding. I'll throw a link in the Discord, the Hackers channel, the Hackers Challenge channel. But I have a repo with all of the challenges that I've created for different CTFs. So I will take the ones that I've published and put those on there, and so you can see source code for everything, any exploits that I've written. All of that should be available. Yep. Okay, are there other questions on other challenges? Yes.
The Pwn plus forensic challenges, those two?
Yes. Okay, I want to start off by saying the forensics was an idea I had a couple of months ago. I love making mashups. I said this in the challenge description, but I love mashups of CTF categories because it's good to have, just web, just rev, just pwn, just crypto to learn, foundational techniques and whatnot, but putting it together is more applicable to the real world. So I was thinking about all different combinations, and I realized that pwn and forensics, I had never ever seen a mashup of those two. So I started to think about what that might look at, and I remember I was reading about Google Tag and Project Zero and how they combine together sometimes to take real world exploitation of important people, and they find 0 days from that, reverse engineer the 0 days, and then report those and get those fixed. So I thought, what if we do something similar? So the idea, the setup for this challenge was I created a vulnerable binary. I then also myself created an exploit for it, and then captured the network traffic of me exploiting this binary remotely. So I'll go ahead and pull up, we'll look at forensics 1 first. So I didn't provide the C code, but I did provide the actual binary. The main function just spins up a little server, communicates with it, handles a client, but really everything juicy happens inside of this check password function. It reads in a username and a password. It then checks it. The username and password were hard-coded to admin password because it wasn't the actual difficult part of the program. But there were a couple of bugs that included your read gave you a stack buffer overflow, and then there was a printf vulnerability. I don't remember where in the code it is, but it's in there somewhere. Anyway, where? Oh, yes. That's password, username up here. Am I just blind? I must be blind. This one? Oh, yes, okay. These two together gives you a format string vulnerability. So those are the two main vulnerabilities that were used. The same C code was actually used for both Forensics 1 and Forensics 2. The mitigations that were on them differed. So for the first one, I don't think there were any mitigations. So pi was disabled, nx/dep was disabled. But for the second one, I enabled a couple other ones. So my exploit script, what I did is I first interacted with it and then used the format string vulnerability in order to leak a libc address. Now, because this binary would accept a connection and then fork and then handle everything, because it forks, that means it's going to copy everything into a new process. That includes the addresses. So any address leaks for connecting to it once applies to it a second time also. So I first interacted with it, just got a libc address, closed the connection. Interacted with it a second time, and that's where I sent my actual exploit. The exploit was, I had a lot of shell code in here, but this was my ROP chain. You had a bunch of padding, you had to put in password and admin for the username and password. And then I just jumped directly, or actually it was a stack leak, not a libc leak. I jumped directly to the shellcode that I had. The shellcode would run popen, it would cat the flag, store that inside of a buffer on the stack, and then I would exclusive OR that with a hard-coded key and then send that through. So if you inspected the packet capture and found where the shellcode was, disassembled that, you would see that it would run popen or at least some function, and then it would XOR a bunch of stuff over and over again, and then go ahead and print that out. So you just needed to pull up the XOR key, find the right spot in the traffic where the flag was being returned, XOR that, you get that first one. The second one was a little bit more complicated. Let me pull up my exploit script for that one. So, because this one had NX enabled, it didn't have pi enabled, but it did have NX. What I decided to do is I first used what we call ret to PLT. So I didn't know where libc was, and there weren't enough gadgets in the actual binary, so we had to pull from libc. So I set up a ROP chain that took the address of set sock options in libc, printed it out to me, and then returned back into the vulnerable function for a second exploitation, so I can do the stack overflow again, and then created another ROP chain that used a bunch of gadgets from libc, and I did what we call ret to mprotect. So I took the last section of the executable and changed that to be read, write, execute, so that I could write shellcode to it and then run that shellcode. I then used the read command to take it from the actual network connection, put that inside of that last section of the executable, and then jump to it. But if you, I didn't want to run it like the first one where you could just like look through and find the shellcode. So I had 2 stages of shellcode. The first would decrypt the second stage of the shellcode. So this first part, it looks like this. The basics are, I took the RCX register, multiplied that by hex 1337, and then used that as the encryption key. You had to figure out what the value of the RCX register was. I provided the Docker container that I used and the exact libc. If you replayed the exploit that I provided and then used GDB and inspected the register at that time, you would see that the RCX register was based off of a libc address. And so if you know what the libc base address was, you could use a static offset in order to calculate what the RCX register was, then do the multiplication in order to pull out the encryption key, and then decrypt that second stage of shellcode, which was similar to the first one, cat, popen, fgets, and then XOR with the hard-coded key. So you had to kind of follow that whole chain through, figure out where I was putting my shellcode, figure out what the RCX register was. You probably could figure out the RCX value just by looking really hard at libc and the binary, but replaying the exploit was probably the easiest and fastest path for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was kind of a new spin on a category, and I wanted to see if people liked it, and I've gotten some pretty good feedback. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Okay, thank you. Questions about other challenges? Yes.
Can I ask who actually did the replay attack on Forensics 2?
Can you say it again?
Who solved that by replaying the attack?
I know Ava did. Delta Blue Jay.
Okay, I would like to know how you did that after.
Other questions?
Do you want to talk about Among Us?
Oh, yes, I do want to talk about Among Us. Okay. I am a sucker for interpreted rev. I feel like when you consider rev problems in CTFs, it's normally compiled binaries because interpreted rev is too easy, everyone says. So my goal was to kind of challenge the status quo here. You were given a website. The point of this challenge was to emulate what would happen in the real world. What most real world JavaScript reverse engineering entails is, here's some website that has a fake Microsoft login. I did have an input for username and password. I hate making front ends, which is why there was no CSS. I'm not sorry. And then the JavaScript was supposed to parse that, and then whenever a specific username was provided, it would do something to the password and then send that to a /exfil endpoint. The /exfil endpoint didn't actually exist. There wasn't anything processing there. But it didn't really make a difference. The point was to figure out what the username was and then how I obfuscated the password. The username was Hackers Challenge 2025 username, Hackers Challenge 2025 username. So it's pretty long. And then if your password was at least 34 characters long, it would take the password, it would base64 encode it, and then exclusive OR that with the flag. So I got a couple of questions that were like, hey, I see it's going to exfil, but where's the flag? And so I would say, if you can figure out how the attacker or the person that owns this malicious web server is able to determine what the password is, you will find the flag. And so by determining that it's XORed with the flag, you can then, that's how the malicious website owner would be able to figure out what the password actually was. Now, figuring that out was very, very difficult. I used a number of different obfuscation techniques. I apologize for the language. This is the first one. It uses 6 different characters. You can write any JavaScript and it works in those 6 characters. So for example, alert 1 is all of this. So if I copy that and then paste it, alert 1. So that's how I obfuscated a lot of the strings. Is I would take like a hard-coded string, throw it in there, and then paste that in. So it was a little bit more difficult, but you could take, for the most part, you could take a lot of this JSF stuff and just throw it in the console, and then it would just print out the actual string for you. There was one spot I decided to make it fun, and I found the weirdest YouTube video that I could find. And then if you did something bad or if you put in the wrong username or something like that, I also had a JSF payload that would redirect you to that. So I know a couple of you have seen that video many more times than you would like to. You're welcome. A couple other things. Let's see if I can pull this up in here. Okay. It's a little hard to see, but you see this Among Us character. Now, once you start pulling apart the code and looking at it, you have this Among Us character literally everywhere, and it all looks identical. That's because visually it is identical. There are some specific Unicode code points that are invisible. They are invisible characters. There's, I want to say somewhere between like 50 to 90 of them. What you can do in JavaScript is you can have a regular character followed by that invisible character. That's 2 characters, but visually it only appears as one, whatever that first character is. So I had the Among Us character, which is technically not Among Us, but it looks like Among Us. I have that one, and then I had a bunch of different invisible Unicode characters after that. So you would look at that, and it would all look the same, but you could copy and then do find and replace. Once you did a lot of that, there was a whole lot of other stuff you had to do. I had funky XOR logic in there. It was a recursive function that set up another variable, but you could probably figure that out. There was also, I wanted to use hashing. Now, doing hashing in client-side JavaScript kind of sucks. It's all asynchronous, and I wanted something that was synchronous. So I found a library online that said that it would do synchronous SHA-1 hashing. I copied that and I put it in there. Now, JavaScript is an asynchronous language, which means that sometimes the order of execution isn't what you would expect it to be. So I found that when I use this SHA-1 hashing function, if I used it in the command line, like I pulled up, Control-Shift-J, pulled it up and put it in there, it would give me the right answer, the expected hash. But when I ran it inside of the actual JS file here, it gave me a different answer. Even if I put in the same input, use the same function. And so if you found the hash function and you tried to run it in the console, any output that you would get would still be wrong. You had to actually just either step through it with a debugger or use console.log in order to see what the values were. What I did was I took the input, I did some XOR, some hashing in order to check what the actual username was, and then I used that value to derive an XOR key to then XOR against something else in order to construct the flag that was used to then, again, XOR against the password in order to exfiltrate it. So it's kind of a lot of different layers there, but I just wanted to show you guys that interpreted rev can also suck really bad. Hope you guys enjoyed that.
It did. It did.
Thank you.
Did you purposely get this challenge put together because you knew John Hammond was going to be here?
I did not. No, I've been a sucker for interpreted rev for a really long time. If you really want to go down that rabbit hole, ask me about interpreted rev with Python. There's a whole lot of other extra stuff you can do there too. Other questions? Yes. I'm sorry? I have not, no. Most of what I see, there's, maybe this is trade secrets, I don't know. There's a tool online, if you just look up JavaScript obfuscator, it's just kind of a plug and play and it does that. There's also a JavaScript deobfuscator that will automatically take that payload and then pull out the original stuff from it. So the way that I look at it is if you are automatically obfuscating it, you can automatically deobfuscate it. So I took all this time to manually obfuscate it so that you were forced to manually deobfuscate it. I think threat actors are too lazy to do that, and so they use a lot of the tools that you can find online.
Yeah, this is part of my day job. You're scaring the shit out of me.
Other questions? Challenges you want me to go over?
Related to this one, so the JSF is inside of a fat arrow function, but is that just evaluate to a literal string? How does it? So how does that work? How does it return the
JSF
value?
can not only create strings, it can also execute. It's got a little snippet there in the library. So there's this little checkbox to evaluate source. If I were to copy this and then put it in there, it would give me this string alert. But you check this and it'll actually run it. Trying to figure out what it's running, not just from a string, is significantly more difficult, which is why I mostly just did strings. But this one was it was just code that would send you to that YouTube video. That one I did actually put. I know some people spent a lot of time going down the rabbit hole trying to figure out exactly what that function did to see if there was anything else interesting. It wasn't. It would just redirect you to a YouTube video. The question is, how does it do that?
So there's an eval there, okay.
Yes, there's an eval layer happening there, correct. If you actually tried to run it, if you open up a brand new tab and you try and copy and paste that in, it won't actually work because you need to be on a real website in order for eval to work in the console. That's how you can know. Other questions?
Were there specific things, and this is open to anyone who made a challenge, what role did AI play building the Hackers Challenge, and how did you try to AI proof it, if you did?
Maybe this is a hot take. I'm a bit of an AI hater, if I'm being honest. I try and make all my challenges AI proof just by making them obscure and hard enough that AI just has never seen that before. That being said, I know one of our main contestants had a lot of success using AI to solve most of the challenges, including the Among Us Rev. I don't know that it's really possible to fully AI proof a challenge. The easiest thing is you take the files, you take the prompt, you throw it into ChatGPT and just see what it says. If ChatGPT can one-shot it, then you're probably cooked. Otherwise, I mean, with enough prompting and knowing what's going on, you and AI can probably figure out anything. As for challenge creation, I wrote a lot of my own code myself. There were some parts where I was just lazy and had Chat kind of write it for me, but I do a lot of the architecting, deciding how the challenge is going to be set up on my own, and then maybe just some of the actual code or implementation I'll have AI write. I don't know if there's any.
So from my perspective, I did all of my challenges using AI, and the hardest part for me was actually testing what AI would do. Especially, AI would give away the flags right away, like. Here's a web page, here's the flag, or here's a web page, and here are the steps to solve the challenge. So yeah, there was a lot of like testing, making sure that any hints were not disclosed. So I mean, AI is trying to be helpful, and probably that's not good for us.
I think it's easy. It's interesting how AI tries to make everything easy and digestible, even when it's not.
Right.
And so when you're trying to create a challenge that's complex, you will get easy in AI until you prompt and get to where you want to be.
Exactly, and so what I saw was like, oh, this is like a teachable moment for people. So this is what they are going to learn. This is how they can do it, and here's the solution too. Yeah. So, sorry, one question here.
What were some of the most important tricks that you learned through creating these challenges that you hadn't already had in your toolbox, your skill set, before creating these puzzles?
That's a big question. Let me look through some of the challenges here. So the question was, what are some tricks and things that you learned as you were creating them? I feel like it's very just challenge specific. One of the things I love about putting on a CTF is when you create a challenge and then you solve your own challenge, you learn a lot there. Web authentication was one series that I really, really wanted to do. I've been interested in the spec in a while, and I haven't really seen any challenges with it. And so I challenged myself by first making a web server that used web authentication, and then I implemented my own Python script in order to interact with that. So I learned a lot about the web authentication protocol there. And as I was setting up just a regular server, that's when I found the 2 vulnerabilities that web authentication 2 and 3 were based off of. So as I dove into the protocol to make a working server, that's where I found just these ways that I could use these vulnerabilities, places where I felt like the documentation was pretty thin. Similar experience with some of the blockchain and pwn challenges there too. Any other questions? Yes?
I just want to let you know we're about time to wrap up.
Right. So I guess we are done. So if you have more questions, come together. We will be answering some of those after closing ceremonies. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Just keep eating. I'm just prepping. And just a housekeeping item. We often on Friday, with so many people that don't come on Friday, there's probably plenty of food, even if you didn't pay for a food ticket and stuff. So please go get in that line, and when we run out, we run out. But if you're hungry or just want to chill with a little bit of food in your hand while we do this closing ceremony, you're welcome to do that. What's that? Are they still checking? I don't think they were. And then we're going to start in about 5 to 7 minutes. We're going to let the door or the walls work it themselves out and stuff too. So patience and enjoy your lunch for a minute. 4, 5, 6. All right. For those of you in this far north space over here, hi. It's good to see you all. Okay, they're having a little bit of trouble with one of the tracks on here. You're welcome to stay over there and see that thing over there. But if you want, you're welcome to also come and join us over here. We're a HackerCon, so we just adapt and overcome and stuff. So whatever works for you, but just letting you know it'll be a little bit longer before you get here. And Danny and his team, you're totally fine to just keep working on it and doing your thing, even though we're going to close this thing out. All right, Helga is going to go right here. I got to be able to actually get to the laptop. All right, I put this. I'm back. I put this slide up here. We'll come back to it again in a minute, but if you wouldn't mind, take a picture of that, take a minute, fill some of that stuff out. But we'll get to it again. How's that? When it's time, I'll remind you. It's part of the slide deck. And it's also right there. And it's a safe QR code, unless it doesn't say forms.gl Google or whatever when you click on it. I mean, somebody could have put little black things in there to make it be different things. Okay. All right. Goodbye from SAINTCON 2025. Gonna kind of breeze through this, but it's going to be long because there's a lot of contests, communities, and events that have done some really cool things that we're going to be talking about and such. And the goodbye is almost like the opener slides. You're just going to get a reminder that this conference is made possible by this cool organization and such. You are one of 2,025 people that have come to enjoy the conference, our largest conference ever, and the biggest will probably ever grow. The way that we're going to articulate tickets this from now on is there's going to be one more ticket available next year beyond 2025. And in 2027, guess what? There's going to be one more ticket available. And we're going to follow that mantra until it doesn't work anymore. So, whatever it is. But we appreciate you being here. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Here's your chance, Bash. What? I missed something?
Yeah, go back to the last slide.
Oh, yeah. How many first-timers are here? What, that's from the opener. You didn't expect me to actually, remember that, right? Anyways, here's the feedback slide. And the only additional part here, so I don't dwell on this very long, is we take feedback very seriously. When we get together, we actually have what we call a committee retreat, where we bring all of the committee members together and we talk about the previous year. We have this really long document we call the lessons learned document that we review. But we review your feedback and we look at those things and we try and make it better and better. Part of the reason why SAINTCON feels like, sometimes it may or may not be, but the reason why it feels like it gets better and better every year is because of things like this. So please give us that feedback. I'm going to do a really broad stroke job of recognizing all of the major committee members that have done the planning. These are folks that have been involved since January last year, and many of them are returning year after year after year. Some of the folks in the slide here that you're seeing have been helping with SAINTCON for over a decade or longer. Like some have been around too long. No, I'm just teasing. You're all welcome back. But anyways, what a wonderful group of folks. I just want to tell you that we've actually grown quite together as like a family of our own. Our kids all know each other. I think that somebody's trying to set up their daughter with my son to get to date, and like all kinds of things like that are happening. And sorry, that's I'm tired. It's down the rabbit hole. Anyways, what a wonderful group. We're going to invite some of them up to the stand or to the stage to give some specific presentations about what they're doing and things. But not all of them are going to be able to make it up here in a time frame. So I just want to express my appreciation to them. And I'll end it, or I'll end this comment with this. There have been so many people that have come up to me during the conference and said, hey, thanks, Troy, for putting this on. And I want to let you know the secret is that it's not my conference anymore. I might be a figurehead, I might be the face that is the most recognizable or whatever else, but ladies and gentlemen, these are the folks that run this conference now, and they deserve that recognition. And so I hope you take a minute to thank them for their hundreds or thousands of hours of time. And I express that sentiment. All right. So the first person we'll invite up to the stage, we have Seth. Sorry, Seth, I didn't let you know that I'd moved you up to first. So here you go.
Thank you. All right. I hope everyone's having a great SAINTCON. Every year after SAINTCON, I get hundreds of emails saying, I didn't check the box when I registered. Can I still get a CPE certificate? If you need that for work, you can scan this QR code right now, put in the email address that you registered with, and click the button, and you will get one. This service will remain active for 3 weeks. After that, I turn it off, and the answer I will give you is no. So please do it now.
Enough said. Yeah, in fact, I'll add one tiny piece to that. We had CPE certificate requests for last year's conference all the way up until like 2 weeks ago, a month ago. So we're not going to go back in time anymore and bring up those old databases and do all those things. So when he says 3 weeks, Seth means 3 weeks. Okay, next up to the stage, we're going to invite Kevin Howard, or Lean. I did that.
I almost didn't make it.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been up here, so thank you. Thank you. Wow, what a year. New architecture, new team, new challenges. Real quick, I want immediate feedback, so we're going to do a 1 or 5. There's no middle ground here. If you experienced issues during the con, give me a quick boo. Any issues in the network, Wi-Fi, it happens, so I really want some immediate feedback. Okay, thank you. Here's the QR code. We need to fix that. If you loved it and didn't notice anything, give me a yay and a 5. That's amazing, thank you. And the only way that this is made possible is the incredible partnership we have with not only the Convention Center and some of our others, which I'll mention in a second, but let's talk about the new gear that we had, right? We had 41 access points. We had 26 switches, point-to-point link over to the Hyatt for pretty much all the parties. That was fun. We even had a Starlink, just in case, which we did actually cut over to it at one point. Nobody noticed, but thanks. Big Corelight server to do some monitoring for us. 10 gig uplink from SAINTCON. So thank you very much for that, even though none of you really used it. And the aerial fiber. Did anybody notice the aerial fiber in the expo hall? As part of the theme? That was actually live. We had 10 gig fiber going across the expo hall. And the only way that that was made possible was because we ran fiber from the switch closet back into the expo hall. So we had 20 gig to the expo hall and 10 gig out to a lot of the contests and communities. So that was a lot of fun. So here's some of the stats. Yeah, 41.5 terabytes.
I told them it was petabytes in my talk.
Oh.
But it's terabytes.
Challenge accepted.
No.
Okay, so next year, bring your gear, because if you notice, up until last night, we barely hit 1.5. We tried, and yesterday we said, hey, can you guys push a little harder? And then someone was allowed to plug into a very large uplink, 40 gig, even though our uplink wasn't that much. And so we stress tested the network last night because we just wanted to know. And we hit 9.5 gig uploads. So that was really cool. The new APs we ran this year were Wi-Fi 7 devices from Arista, and they had the 6 gigahertz frequency. Many of you didn't know that you were connecting to that, but that spectrum was very clean. We actually did an Echo House survey early on. It shows here 362, but that's the current rate. So we had about 600 to 800 of you on the 6 gigahertz frequency. And that changes the experience for everyone. That was really incredible. We did notice a few of you that found the badge network, and we did see a lot of you connecting and sharing that password. No, we didn't kick you off. We were ready to, but we figured it's all in good fun, so as long as you guys didn't break anything. And we did have a family of sheep in the NOC booth that was used as target practice from the Idiot Village, so thank you. So we added a lot of monitoring dashboards, as you can see. This is just one of the many that we had, and this was to make sure that the conference was secure, protected, and stable. And so we'll continue to add that and provide some of those metrics in the future. If your location services showed you were in Mandalay, I would like to apologize for that, but that actually wasn't our fault. You should go look up how location services work when you don't have access to GPS in buildings. So that was an interesting, oops. We probably should do a talk.
And there's a lot of people trying to explain to their significant others why they were in Vegas for an evening.
If you got a phone call, we also apologize, because we had a lot of people coming up and asking about that. Apparently, all of you love speed test servers because those were the top URLs. So you like how fast you can go, but you don't actually like using the network. Try harder. So we will continue to hopefully provide as many 10 gig links as possible, so bring some gear next year to really push the network. We're going to try and give you as much speed as we can. The other thing that I wanted to mention was when you see switches scattered throughout the conference, those are not part of the badge game. Unplugging those and plugging them in doesn't patch you from 25 to 17.
Spanning tree.
Yeah. So we definitely had a lot of challenges this year, right? So there were some outages. Hopefully you didn't notice. We did have to do some cutovers, and we're going to continue to monitor that. We will constantly improve, but we can only do that with your feedback. So we really appreciate any issues that you have. Hopefully having us on the expo floor helped, not only with coming and helping us diagnose challenges or just curiosity, but also providing transparency as to how we do this. We had a lot of questions about, well, what is this visualization tool? How do you guys connect? People are trying to learn more about networking. That's why we wanted to put the booth on the expo floor. So please continue to come out, ask questions. Our team is very, very helpful. And if not, let us know. We'll get more helpful. But I would just want to say a huge thank you to the Convention Center for allowing us to do a lot of the shenanigans that we did this year with aerial fiber, getting a lot of that connectivity going, and helping us kind of trace down when we have issues with our core switches. And then a huge thank you to Arista as well for providing the gear. That was kind of a huge game changer for us. So thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause. And then, of course, last but not least, our NOC team is amazing. I couldn't have done it without them. I have an incredible team this year. We got Squirrely Stub, Shifty, Pinball, Couple Samurai, and we will increase next year. But thank you guys so much. You guys have done so much for the conference. Hopefully every one of you saw them running around with their hair on fire. I couldn't have done it without them, so let's give them a huge round of applause. Thank you, guys. Back to you.
All right, back to me. Thank you. All right, next up, we're going to invite to the stage CompuKid Mike, the illustrious, I saw him over here, I think, somewhere. Right here. The badge maker, and we'll let him take it from there.
Thanks. All right. All right. Thank you to everyone who played the game as much as they could. I know there were issues. I apologize. We did our best. And thank you to everyone who played the game the right way, who wasn't attacking the infrastructure. So I appreciate that. So in terms of teams, anyone want to guess who won? Dreamcoil. Yeah. And I don't know how they scored this many points. I do. Grifter! Okay, so they ended up with 309, and the next number 2, Emberclaw, with 36. So I don't know what they were doing, but yeah, a little sketchy. Some more fun stats. Dreamcoil, their longest path was 9 hops. Which is impressive. And no surprise, Grifter had the biggest number of connections made at 41. So that's awesome.
Nice.
And second place with 35, Oxygen, who was on Emberclaw. Very nice. So that's all I've got for you. Thank you, everyone who played and participated. And as always, we will try to do better next year. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Thanks to your team as well. I feel like of all the people that spend thousands of hours, it's that team that does such hard, crazy work. They come up with some of the best ideas. We really do appreciate them. Next up to the stage, let's welcome Zodiac to talk a little bit more and close us out on communities.
So I have to start and say, if you didn't go there, the ICS IoT, the idiot booth was my favorite. I don't know why. It might have something to do with particular bribes of a particular chocolate milk they brought me, but they're the best. You should all visit or you should have all visited the IoT, the idiot booth, because they're good people. Really though, you should have visited all the communities because they're all awesome and epic. We had a ton of things happen down there and upstairs. We kind of split them a little bit, some upstairs, some downstairs. A couple of quick stats I wanted to share that were awesome. Ham radio. Who went to ham radio this week? Who tested for a license this week? Who passed their test? We have 27 people with new ham radio licenses because of this conference. Nice. There were some others that also passed to increase their license level, so we have more than that passed tests, but 27 new licenses. A couple other things. Soldering classes were packed all week if you didn't go there. RFID classes. Who went to some of the RFID classes? Those were epic. If you didn't go and learn, you missed a lot. The problem is there's a ton to miss at the conference. A couple other things I wanted to call out. The AI community, did anyone participate enough that they got to go talk to the AI overlord?
A few.
No one talked to the AI overlords? Oh, okay. All right. They really put a ton of time in, and you could didn't just take time learning about AI, but you took time progressing about AI and what you were doing with it and how you interacted. As always, the keep came. If you didn't take time to go and play a game that taught you how to pen test, you missed out at the keep. They said they had 217 people play, I think is what the number was. Really though, all the communities were totally leveled up this year and took it to the next level. I did very little of that work. I'd really like to thank the staff members that put in the effort and energy to take those communities to the next level. They took a ton of time. If we can take a second just to give a round of applause for the community staff members. But really, and so I appreciate all the work they put in, but I love and I appreciate that everyone comes and takes time to spend time in the communities and that you come and take time to hang out with us. I love to spend time with the people, and I love to see people learning stuff, and so SAINTCON is the perfect place to do that. But thank you, everyone, for coming and supporting the communities, and thanks for putting them on.
Thank you. All right, next up to the stage, we're going to welcome Odie over our events, and press the space bar when you get up there.
Spacebar, got it.
I did.
Events. Great way to connect with your fellow attendees, hang out after hours when you just can't get enough of that con life. I want to say special thanks to all the volunteers that helped put on the events. We had some great new events and some returning events that are always fan favorites, tons of people hanging out and having fun after hours at our events like LAN Party. Swap Meet was new this year and very well attended, so I love to see that. I love everyone getting out and engaging, taking some time to take a break and get around the conference center playing mini golf. We had tons of people getting involved. Really love that. If you want to get involved, this is a great way. If there's an event that you're like, oh, it'd be really cool if we did this at SAINTCON, draw up a request for event, get together with your friends. I think we also had some unofficial events coming out as well, so shout out to anyone in the community forming those as well. And thanks to everyone, and come check out more events next year.
Thank you, Odie. Next up, we're going to invite Zevlag to go through the laundry list of contests. So you can just, well, I'll join you up here because I've got to unplug my laptop to make room for yours.
Well, I'm Zevlag, and I think you all know me. And if you don't, well, go read the conference book and come find me sometime, maybe next year. But enjoyed running contests this year. We had a huge arrangement of contests. Thank you for all the returning ones and all the new ones. We'll try to blow through these pretty fast and not keep you here all afternoon. Thank you to all the staff and all the volunteers that made these possible. So, start off with, I wanted to rock out for AppSec Carnival Games. They totally owned the theme of the conference this year. I hope you enjoyed their presentation and had some fun playing with them. If you had a rubber ducky from AppSec Carnival Games, raise your hand. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. Woo. So beyond the basic game that many rubber duckies were passed out on, you were able to own that contest and hack those Carnival games and exploit them and then create fixes. And so I wanted to call out Tux Toaster and Jake Spring for third and second place. So I'm going to go through all these names. Let's applaud for them. Let's be excited. And then I'll invite these folks to come up after we close out all the closing ceremonies and get their prizes from the respective people. So first place for AppSec Carnival Games was Overllama. First and second both maxed out the board, but Overllama came out victorious by doing it first, I believe. So they would all deserve that credit. Next game, I'm going to call out the Land Cable Contest, returning again for, I think, the third year. It was quite fun, very fierce competition. Third place, we had Asux, minute 14 to complete a working cable. Second place, Kakashi at a minute 11. And then blowing third and second out of water, we had first place, Ham Fried Rice, 52 seconds. If you want to see him do this, we have a recording of him doing it in 54 seconds, available in Discord. Someone ping in there, we can share it with you. As a small side note, our conference host, Jupiter, came in fourth with one attempt instead of the multiple at a minute 17. Okay, this was another fun one. This was one that I decided to, hey, I want to have a little bit of fun. So I popped up a contest at a random time in a random place, and it was with little indie bots, the kids' toys, programming bots by moving across color pads. We had a lot of fun playing, and it was timed based off of the number of tiles that you used and how fast your bot accomplished the obstacle course. And the first place winner was Cabbage. And he owned the competition. He did it in like 25 seconds with one attempt, and everybody else had multiple attempts. It was way into 2 minutes. So, good job. Want to call out for Ham Radio Fox Hunt. Lots of players this year. I say that for every contest. Every single one of my contests said, wow, we had so much participation. It was nonstop for everybody. But they had a fun fox hunt, and in their first place that completed the outdoor fox hunt, Josh G and Company. And no, that might be my initials, but no, I didn't win this one. I want to call out for ICS escape rooms. We appreciate them coming back every year, and yes, we called them a contest, but really the prize for the contest is playing the game itself. You get out of the room. So thank you to all of you that played and participated in ICS escape rooms, and thank you for them for bringing it back every year. Network games, a new addition this year, kind of a throwback to old style SAINTCON. We had the router games back in St. George 20 years ago, 15 years ago, a long time ago. But Network Games came and they hosted a wonderful contest brought to you by one of our sponsors, but the content wasn't sponsored, and I hope you enjoyed it, learning new things. They covered a lot about IP addressing, routing, subnetting, proxies, and basic network concepts, and gamified it, and introduced a lot of people to a lot of cool new things. And so in their contest, they did place, and we had third place, Meow 1033. Second place, we had Welsh Dragon. And for first place in the Network Games contest, we had Overllama again. I will call out, Overllama was doing really impressive, rocking contest this year, and we've seen him come back multiple years through Hackers Challenge as well. Good job. Another new contest this year, Malware Community, a new addition, brought their Mark 1 contest, where you had to take a malware and analyze it and understand what it was doing, and then create a report on that malware. They had some interesting content, presentations, technical write-ups, videos describing the malware, some safe and some not so safe for work environments or family environments. But they had a lot of fun participants, and they awarded their prizes. But their runners-up were Kaboomer, Troy W., Brock L., and Phlebas. And first place, they had Oak. Not to keep moving forward, but we'll keep moving forward. We had saw a lot of hands go up for how many people were first timers here, and the Octopus game was designed for first timers especially, and for all of us that have been here many times as well. And they liked to drive you to all the various communities and to experience SAINTCON at its fullest. They had a huge participation rate. They had 170 people actually register, 160 check in and perform, and then they had several people could actually complete the complete challenges and blackout. And had 4 people finish all the side bonus quests, totally completing everything that they could do in the game. Octopus game has been presented at many other conferences, and they said that they loved being here the best and had the best participation they've ever had. So thank you to all you that played. And they had a 4-way tie that they had to perform a tiebreaker on this morning, but their first placed 4-way tie goes to Go Buck. I can't even read all these names. Pungent, Lunchables, Zero Down 21, and La Hero. So congratulations. I promise we're getting close to the end of these. We've got, I think, 3 more, I think. We're getting there. We've got the RFID CTF. Thanks to Iceman and Sodium Hydrogen for hosting that this year. We really appreciate it. They bring in some really cool tech, and their participation numbers were through the roof this year as well, bringing a lot of cool things integrating with the badge game and all sorts of cool cards. I got chased down several times. I was wearing one of their flags, and people were scanning my badge and cloning it to get into things well, I guess maybe they shouldn't have been. So third place, we had Bear Jump. Second place, we had Mills Gold. And for the first place in the RFID CTF, we had Subvision. Getting close. Okay, Tamper Evident Challenge. This one's an oldie, but how many of you have learned something new in Tamper Evident this year? Touched a new piece? Yeah, see several hands. Like they bring it in and rock it every year with their community and to participate and learn, and then they put you to a challenge to open a box, to go through multiple layers of tamper seals, and bring it back to them without evidence. So they present both a beginner challenge and an advanced challenge. So welcome to all. And for the winners in the beginner challenge, we had second place Shane, and first place Joseph R. And first place on the advanced challenge, we had Dragmeyer. The Vault. Oldie but goodie. This year they reinvented it into a bank-style competition where you could break into the front door, attack the manager's office, open the actual vault inside the vault contest. And we had two really strong competing teams and many people that started at the beginner level and learned some new things. Badge cloning, bypassing Rex sensors with air cans, and a lot of interesting things. So to call out on the winners of the vault, we had second place, the team Provo Strong. And for first place winners of the vault this year, USHE Asses. And finally, but definitely not least, our premier challenge, the SAINTCON Hackers Challenge. Our Black Badge Premier Challenge that allows people, the winner of this challenge, to be receive a black badge and come back to SAINTCON for the rest of their life. Usually I like to rope them back into volunteering and running the competitions. The majority have, but when you're done and retired from the helping, then you can come back on a black badge and enter for free. But I invite up Santiago Lego Clones to come talk about the Hackers Challenge briefly.
Hey guys, my name is Lego Clones. This is Santiago. We had an absolute blast putting on the Hackers Challenge this year. I know we made it a little bit more difficult than it has in years previous, but I hope you guys enjoyed it and you had a lot of fun. We decided to do things a little bit differently this year. We split the Hackers Challenge up into two different stages. The first stage is, what we've had in years past. It ended this morning at 7 a.m. and we had a second stage where the top 3 were invited in person for 2 hours. We had originally planned on having 3 challenges. One of them didn't work out, so we had 2 challenges. And then one of the final 3 contestants couldn't make it. So it was a 1v1 face-off with 2 challenges in 2 hours. It was pretty intense. There was a lot going on. It ended up as a tie, actually. One of the contestants solved one challenge, the other one solved the other challenge, and it came down to who solved which challenge first.
So we do have slides for that.
Oh, perfect.
Slides. So,
beautiful.
We talked about the black badge. There we go. So this is the runoff for the first stage.
Yes. So for the first stage, in third place, we had Umbringen. For second place, we had Dark Matter. And first place, it was a Unicode blank character, but we'll just call him Blank. Yeah, so it ended up, Umbringen couldn't make it, so it was Blank and Dark Matter that made it to the second stage this morning. It was super tight, but Dark Matter won, so Dark Matter's our Black Badge winner.
I'd like to give you the Black Badge of SAINTCON for 2025.
Thanks, man. That's so awesome.
You did well.
I just want everyone to know that I've been doing this and been within like so many inches of it for years and years, and it's just so awesome to do this. But I want you guys to know that Blank, also known as Q, was an amazing competitor, and he really inspired me last year at Hack in the Box
to want to actually do Hacker Challenge, like, and that's all I've done this con. I didn't volunteer. I didn't do any challenge. Like, I didn't do any speaking. I literally bought a ticket this year, and my focus was to see if I could do this. And not only that, I wanted to do it with AI. And so I've done all sorts of crazy stuff. So look for a cool talk coming about how I solved this using AI. Yes, it was really hard, and I'm pretty good at it. But it's not taking your jobs, but it is taking your CTFs. So.
Mike, did you sleep during the conference?
So as of yesterday, I had slept about 5 hours in 50 hours, and then last night I slept for about 4 to 5 hours because I knew the head-to-head thing was coming, and I wanted to be on like as many hours of sleep as I could to at least do that. And luckily, it was a lock-picking challenge, and I did pretty good at that. So that's what saved my bacon. But it was fiercely competitive in that room, highly stressful, intense, and I'm still shaking from it, but it was a blast. So, yeah, thank you so much for. I just want to say one more thing too. These guys put on an epic competition. It incorporated like tons of villages and tons of communities and tons of things to go interact with. It really stressed knowledge and research, and I know people were. I was in the Hyatt many times and was watching the sun come up in the conference room in the Hyatt. So it was a really good time. So thank you guys so much for putting on such an amazing competition, and thank you SAINTCON. I finally got a black badge. You can't get rid of me now, Troy. Yeah.
And a final hand for Santiago and Lego Clones for a great challenge. Thank you. And that's all I have for this contest and communities. Thank you.
All right. I'll repeat that for those that are on that north side. If your name was on the screen, come grab your prizes after we conclude here. All right, so thanks to all the contests. Thanks, Zeb Black, for coordinating all of that. And we'll keep moving on. All right, now we kind of come to the final few slides of our wrap it up presentation. Would love to just thank, even though none of them are here, they all have different places to be and such like that. But we say it every year, and I think that it's appropriate to say it again this year that we've had the best keynote lineup we've ever had at SAINTCON. A lot of that is due to some of the great connections that we have through James Pope, the Pope over here, Grifter, many of the others, for wrangling these folks. The biggest challenge I think that we have at this point is we've now had a conference where John Hammond, Jeff Moss, and John Strand all presented. I don't know what we do next year. What's that? No, come on. Anyways, we really appreciate their involvement. We appreciate those that helped us get there, and thank them for that. Give our keynotes a round of applause. They might watch it on a video or something, but. We really do appreciate them. All right, I'm going to breeze through some of the rest of these slides, I think. That one still has that little error in it that I had. Okay, last couple of things. Discord is where our community hangs out. My tagline this year for Discord is, join for the conference and stay for the community. If you're not participating with us here, you're missing out on a big part of this cybersecurity community. There's a lot of fun things. All of the little contests, communities, events, interests, and other things that we have here continue in their various iterations inside of this community. And this is where we've decided currently that is the best place for us to be. And so join us there. One of the other things that I wanted to propagate quite well is that one of the other things that the Utah Saint organization does is every other week on Wednesday at 2:00 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, we hold a cybersecurity briefing where we talk about the latest trends, tactics, threats, and other things that you should be looking out for, the things that you need to patch now. We're explaining and talking about the intricacies of some of these issues that are happening and how to understand them a little bit better and things. If you scroll down to the very bottom of the SAINTCON website, the very bottom, you're going to see this section. If you pop your email address in there, I promise that the only thing that you will ever get from giving us your email address in this form is the bi-weekly agenda of that briefing. So we send it out in advance. You generally get it a couple of hours before the live briefing happens. The briefing is live in WebEx. And so it's not just a place to come listen, or it's not just a stream. It's a place to come ask questions and interact. Bring some of your own ideas or vulnerabilities that I or somebody else that helps compile them didn't catch that week. So please join us there. That's one of the other places we can do that. The last slide that I have here is we often get right after this event or this closing ceremonies, how do I help with teardown? How can I help and things? This is the best way to articulate it. Power strips are one of the most painful things for us to go and pick up every single one of them. And so before you leave, if you wouldn't mind unplugging the power strip from the power connector that it's in. You don't have to pull up the extension cords. Wrap the cable around the power strip, and I know that we're taught that we're not supposed to do that. Pull the gaffer's tape off, please. But wrap the cable. I know we're not supposed to do that, but later on it makes all the difference for us when we're trying to sort all those things. If you just do that before you leave, that'll help us out a lot. If you have more ambition to help us do the teardown and other things, I've put a post on the general channel in Discord. You're welcome to read that, and that'll give you some better guidance. So there's that. All right. The last couple of things that we'll mention is the involvement of some of our incredible sponsors. Our sponsors are what make this conference affordable, approachable, and everything else. Our two event partners, CompuNet and EOS. How many of you had an opportunity to go visit those folks downstairs? Should be almost everybody, I hope. And then there's a long list of many other vendors that were down there in that space and area. Some of the top vendors in cybersecurity space. So I hope you took an opportunity to network, find and see if there's solutions and other things there. And we really do appreciate the sponsors that help make SAINTCON possible. The last thank you that goes out to any one individual person, once again, our partnership, and I call it a partnership because that's truly what it is, with the Utah Valley Convention Center and what they do. Danny, Kemper, Justin, the entire UVCC team makes it so easy for us to not think about how the venue is going to work and how, all of the logistics of running the conference in this space. They make it so easy. We appreciate them, and they make so many other things possible that I won't sit here and talk about. And the unpaid advertisement is, if you have an event, work-related or otherwise, these guys are so easy and good to work with that I highly recommend that you bring your event here. Lastly, and this is the last slide, I promise. Most importantly, I want to finally express the appreciation to everybody else that wasn't maybe included in some of the previous slides. Our committee members, staff members, team leads, speakers, keynotes, volunteers, and most importantly, you all, the community that comes, consumes this knowledge, this information, and enjoys the conference. We do it for you. We thank you, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.
You forgot the last one to say, one more round of applause to say thank you to Troy.
Go and throttle up.